That Big HVAC Show, the podcast for property managers, building owners, and building maintenance personnel, getting you the information to benefit your goals, while keeping it simple in a big way. This is That Big HVAC Show. Now, your Big HVAC host, Dwayne Anderson.
Well, welcome back. This is episode 13. And I know it's been a few weeks since we've got together, and my goodness, in these few weeks, we've seen a lot of things change, haven't we? There has been freedom convoys, there's a war going on, interest rates through the roof, and gas prices. Gas prices this past weekend in downtown Vancouver hit $2. $2 for gas. Isn't that absolutely crazy? So you know that expression, it's always been like that? Guess what? I declare that expression obsolete. We shouldn't have to hear that anymore. So get rid of that out of the vocabulary. It's always been like that. It's gone. So I think we should start off, before we get going, I think we need a cup of coffee. I'm going to go grab a cup of Ohana Estate coffee, and then we'll get rolling. So a little story for you behind Ohana Estate Coffee. My good friend Ryan and his family love the Hawaiian tropics, and he was working for a coffee company. And, well, long story short, he's created a small business. So support a small Western Canadian business by going to his website, ohanacoffeeco.com, and ordering one of these great coffees. Today, I'm having Big Swell Espresso because I feel like the big kahuna today. Yes, so these beans are grown in the tropics. They can just show up at your table by going to ohanacoffeeco.com. Join the Ohana. I'm sure Ryan will let you in. Let him join the family. So join the Ohana and have a great cup of coffee. So let me just take a swig here and we'll get started. Oh, that's good. So today is International Women's Day. Hashtag break the bias. And we've interviewed a number of women here on That Big HVAC Show. A lady who co-owns an HVAC service company, Natalie, Jessica as well, who is working her way to becoming a refrigeration mechanic, a couple other ladies that offer services in the HVAC industry, and an athlete who inspires individuals to be better at what they do. So having women on the podcast is nothing new. Today, though, I wanted to interview this particular lady. She is a refrigeration mechanic. She's an HVAC instructor and a mentor for HVAC apprentices and women in skilled trades. She is a member of Women in HVAC are Canada. A little known fact, well, she's in Ontario, I'm in British Columbia, and yet on LinkedIn, we have 11 shared connections. The HVAC industry is truly a small world, and that gives evidence of that. So that's a little known fact, something I thought was kind of cool. But let's wait no further. Let's introduce our guest, Brandy. Welcome to That Big HVAC Show.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be invited and be here.
I'm glad you could be here. So just curious, how long have you been in the HVAC industry?
Well, in the HVAC industry, I'm rolling up on year 15 for 2022. So 15 years since I started off as a maintenance mechanic and went through my apprenticeship. And here I am. I feel like I'm a part of the HVAC elderly at this point almost.
So 15 years ago, how many women were actually in the trades?
That's a great question. I know for where I started, I was by myself. And it's great now, this whole social media movement. Unfortunately, I wasn't really on Instagram when I first started the trade. So I didn't connect with a lot of people outside of my area. But I was definitely the first female in the London, Ontario area. So you just know that by, you go to the wholesalers, people are very confused to see you at places. So I never had the opportunity to go to school with another female when I went to trade school or got my gas fitter license. So I slowly started to see women in other trades on job sites, but that was when I was still in construction before I moved into HVAC. So yeah, it was a very a brave new world, you could say.
So what attracted you to the bright lights of the trade?
Yeah, well, it was a second career for me. I was in my early 30s, and I did the whole university thing, and my story isn't unique, especially these days. I hear a lot of this. I wanted to make a change. If I was going to go back to school and start all over again, I wanted a career that was going to be sustainable. I wasn't going to be replaced by technology, and it would grow with my life, right? Like a career that was going to be there forever. So, I grew up in a blue collar family. My dad's an electrician. Most of my friends and the men I knew at the time were all in some kind of a trade. And, people just love their jobs. I loved hearing the stories about how every day was different. There seemed to be a lot of satisfaction in what they did. And I was always a very active person. So that's why I didn't enjoy sitting in an office. So I left that world early on and had just worked in a bar for pretty much over 10 years. So it was finally, I made the choice to get into the trades based on those parameters that I was just talking about. And yeah, it was definitely not a straight path in. I didn't get signed up right away or anything, but I'm so glad I ended up here. So I was actually a third-year plumbing apprentice. That was the first trade I got signed up in. And at my age, I thought, I'm just going to take it. I just want a red seal trade. And 3 years in, I got the offer for my refrigeration ticket. So I made the choice to go back to first-year apprentice and never looked back. I find HVAC, when I looked at all the trades, I love how it kind of combines a little bit of everything. There's like the electrical is huge, the piping. I mean, let's face it, right? It's definitely the king of trades. So.
Yeah, it's funny. It's more than once I run into that occasion where you have somebody in the plumbing trade and they're given the opportunity to get in refrigeration and they leap at it. Yeah. But you're right. The refrigeration trade seems to be like the king of all trades because there's so much in it that, like having your gas fitter ticket and, electrical, like it's a combination of a lot of different things. And you're right. You see a lot of different things in the trade as well. No day is the same. That's absolutely for sure. So being 15 years in, you must have had a number. I mean, looking at your LinkedIn, you worked for a big international company at one time, one of the big three. So you must have seen a lot of different things over the years. What's your best HVAC story?
I would say one of the highlights of my career was getting to work up at one of the nuclear plants. That was amazing to see like that equipment and be exposed to that environment. Another great thing about the trades is, we get access to these places that most people don't. And I really got to start working on chillers at that point, which, that kind of equipment isn't available wherever you work. So like you said, I worked for one of the big three and that was pretty amazing. I mean, as far as that being one of my highlights of where I worked, I like to say, going way back when I was still a wee apprentice, one of the funniest things that had happened to me in HVAC was I was just working on some rooftop units in a commercial area. And the customer that owned the building, actually, he was yelling at me to get down off the roof. So I was up there working on the rooftops. He's in the parking lot, very busy parking lot, lots of traffic. He's screaming at me to get down off the roof or he was going to call the police. So it was hilarious. And me being fairly new, I thought maybe I had done something wrong. And as most people know, you got the service van, you're by yourself, right? There's not anybody else there. So I come off the roof and it was hilarious. He didn't even give me a chance to say anything. He's like, "You can't be up on my roof. I don't know how you got up there, but you shouldn't be up there." So I let him have his say, and then I had to explain, who I was. I was there doing the maintenance on the equipment. And he actually made a phone call to my boss because he still didn't believe me. So it's pretty funny, and that whole thing. And again, the female part came up. He's like, "Oh, I had no idea. Like, you're not the normal person I see here," and that kind of stuff. So there's been a few of those during my 15 years of that surprise factor or someone questioning, like, what are you doing here type of thing. So,
Yeah. That's hilarious. Now, I hear you say nuclear in there?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. One of the things I loved is I spent almost 5 years working up at one of the nuclear plants. We had a lot of equipment that was up there. So I was part of a small crew that would go up on the regular and work on the equipment there. We were going to be swapping out some chillers, so we had some rentals up there that we took care of for them. And our equipment was responsible for cooling the control room for the turbines. So it was pretty important stuff. They actually had a double redundancy. So they only needed one chiller, but they had 3. So yeah, it was a very unique environment to work in. Following all the protocols with radiation and whatnot, so it was a very interesting place to work at. And I met a lot of good people up there too. It was really good work. So,
that's one thing about this industry that I love is the different behind the scenes things that you see. But I have to admit, I've only spent my career in Western Canada, so the nuclear thing, that's one I haven't done yet.
okay.
And yeah, wow, that's amazing. So I assume that's where you get your Instagram handle from, Chiller Chick?
Yeah, I was lucky enough, like I said, that's where that came from. Before I got out of the service truck, I did have the opportunity to work on chillers a lot. So, and yeah, definitely one of my favorite pieces of equipment. So that's where my handle came from.
Awesome. Well, that's even, I know a lot of guys that are terrified to mention the word chiller. They're like, no, I don't want to do that. So kudos to you. So there's something that happened to you last week at the Toronto Raptors 905 game. Can you share your story, please?
Yeah, it was great. That was an opportunity that came up from Support Ontario Youth. So the Raptors 905 had their inaugural International Women's Night. So they're going to be doing this now on an annual basis. So they selected a group of women who are like blazing trails in their industries or communities. And I was lucky enough to, have the opportunity to be chosen and nominated, I guess, to represent women in skilled trades from the chair at Support Ontario Youth. So, I mean, what a night. We got obviously invited, and there's a little mix and mingle. I didn't get to meet all the women, but, I met a woman. She runs the Canadian MBA, and there was entrepreneurs there, the mayor from Mississauga. That's amazing. Another amazing woman. So it was phenomenal just to be in this space with like all of these women who, they have as much going on as I do, if not more. You had mentioned like I pretty much have 3 jobs kind of, and they give back so much to their community and such great role models. They've been brought in by other leaders that have that, that vision of creating diversity in the team, and that just makes the whole team better. The one woman told me now 53% of her team is female, but when she started, she was just the first one. So it was really cool to, be a part of that event. And we got courtside seats, and obviously they did the photo op. We got a swag bag, and it was just one of those things where when you've been in the trades as long as I have, and there have obviously been, when someone says, how many obstacles have you faced? I always just say all of them, just to make it easy. It feels really good on nights like that to think, it makes it all worthwhile, I guess, right? I like to stick with it, even in times when I've wanted to quit, but I always remember the next generation coming up behind me, and that's part of my passion, is just making it, hopefully I'm making it a little bit easier for the next woman, right? So nights like that, it was amazing to spend a night with just a bunch of inspiring women from all different walks of life.
Great. I mean, just your posts you get on LinkedIn and social media, I mean, it looked like a tremendous night, and I'm glad you could be on the show here today to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you.
So you talked about the next generation. So what would you say to encourage women to become involved in the skilled trades?
Yeah, for a woman that like myself, you haven't quite found your niche yet, right? Obviously, the skilled trades isn't for every woman, just as the same thing, it's not for every man, right? But for a young woman that, feels she's looking for something more, or she's an active person that, always wants to have every day different and likes the challenge, I encourage them to, seek out, get information, and just, jump in with both feet, really, is kind of what I say, and at the end of the day, you'll find your path. It's never going to be a straight line, but, if you want something bad enough, you'll get there. And I think for every woman, in this day and age, the tools are there, the technology is there. We can contribute the exact same as our male counterparts. Let's face it, the part of the stigma we try to change is that, the trades is not the lesser choice. You have to be smart, right? You have to be smart to be a refrigeration mechanic, exactly, as well as other trades.
I would say even, more so, because you're dealing with, like I said, electrical and gas and all that.
Yeah, it's a lot of math and chemistry and traditionally things that we've been, pushed away from. But the benefits far outweigh the challenges. One of the things I always share at some of the women's events is, as part of the surprise, obviously it's great to make good money and have benefits and a pension, but something that I got out of this experience and this career path that I didn't expect was just an overall independence in life in general. I've got a little place of my own and I do the work on that now, but when I first bought it, that was something I would have hired a contractor for. Just having the confidence to really take anything apart and see how it works, whether you know about it or not, right? I'm more apt to have a conversation with a mechanic about my car. I know what it sounds like when my bearings are going, right?
Right.
I'm not a car mechanic to fix it, but I can have, an intelligent conversation with that person.
Yes.
So, it's just that feeling of, it's not that we can't do it, but women shy away from, working on tools or trying to fix their dryer or something else at home or changing out a toilet, because it's just that fear of the unknown. If you've never picked up tools before, you don't know how, or you're not sure where to start.
Right.
So I like to always bring that point up is, you can do this just because you don't know how today. That's the point of the trades, right? We learn and gain experience as we go. So it's very rewarding. And I always like to kind of share, just to be positive and jump in with both feet. If you're even thinking about it a little bit,
Just take that leap of faith.
Just take that leap of faith. Yeah.
Fantastic. I totally agree with you. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
We need more women in the trades. We need more people in the trades.
We need more people. Yeah. So there's no point leaving out 50% of the population, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Totally agree. So you mentioned you're a busy lady. At the end of March, there's a trade show. When is that? The dates? March?
Yeah. Instagram's probably going to have to increase its bandwidth because we're probably going to blow it up. It's the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of this month. Yeah, so it's 3 days. We've got HVAC Jess will be out there. The whole clan's coming out. So it's fantastic that the pandemic has wrapped up enough that we can see each other in person. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's going to be a busy 3 days, and it'll be great to see the Insta HVAC fam in the flesh.
Right, exactly. And the trade show is, I can't remember the name of the trade show again. It's the
CMPX show.
The CMPX.
Yeah.
So yeah, there'll be a booth there for the Women in HVAC Art Canada. You'll be there. You said you're going to be doing other things. You'll have a full 3 days. So if people, they can connect with you on social media, I'm sure, at Chiller Chick on Instagram. And it comes to you live and in person the end of March at the trade show.
That's right. Yeah, we'll all be there for around 3 days. So it won't be hard to find, I'm sure. I know Women in HVAC Art Canada have got a sweet spot right in the center. So
okay, fantastic.
Yeah,
it'll be great to see everybody there.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for joining us today on the program. I truly think you're an inspiration, not just for women, but for everybody else. Just do it. And I love your attitude, your spirit, and I'm a big fan of Brandy. What can I say?
Thanks, Dwayne. I appreciate that. It was great to meet you.
Thanks.
In line with our theme today of International Women's Day, go visit the booth of Women in HVAC Art Canada if you are attending the Canadian Mechanical and Plumbing Exposition. That's in the Metro Toronto Convention Center, March 23rd, 24th, and 25th of this year. As you heard, Brandy will be there, and a couple of other former guests of the podcast. Jessica and Natalie will be there as well. So that's the Women in HVAC-R Canada at the Canadian Mechanical and Plumbing Exposition, March 23rd, 24th, and 25th in Toronto. Stop by and see the women there.
If you have any questions about this topic, please send an email to thatbighvacshow@gmail.com. You can connect with the show on social media too. Search @thatbighvacshow on Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube.
Oh, Brandy, just one more thing. If you had a choice between playing pickleball or roller derby, what would it be?
Well, since I'm not quite sure what pickleball is, but I will be Googling it after this, I would choose roller derby. I actually did play roller derby for about 7 years.
Oh, wow.
So that's right. Actually, my roller derby name was Freezer Burn, inspired by my career.
That's a great name.
Thank you. I liked it too.
Great. Thanks again for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne.
All right.